Hi, welcome to another instructional video. Today we're going to show you how to assemble your TRIGA Go modular display system. Whether you have a 3-foot TRIGA Go wall or a 20-foot TRIGA Go U-booth, we will go through the step-by-step process on how to assemble the frames as well as attach the graphics. So first things first, you're going to start by removing all the components from your carry case, regardless of however many carry cases you may have. Start removing those pieces and we'll begin assembling the frame. So let's start small and put together a 3-foot frame. Let's start by attaching the foot to the bottom pole. You'll notice throughout the hardware is conveniently labeled to direct you in order to assemble your frame. Simply line up the cutout crosshair mold on the bottom pole to the cutout crosshair on the foot and lock into place by twisting the foot. So now the foot is secured to the bottom pole and you can rest it on your clean flat surface floor. Repeat this process for the second pole. One thing to note, specific only to the 3-foot TRIGA Go wall. 2 toes of the feet should be facing towards one another that will be underneath the bottom crossbar. This will create for stability for a 3-foot TRIGA Go wall. The larger sizes, you can position the bottom poles as such where a toe is facing effectively the back side of your frame to make for less visibility of the feet on the front of your display. But for the 3-foot TRIGA Go wall, you're gonna need to position them like so, again with these toes facing each other underneath your frame for that extra stability. We can now go ahead and install that bottom crossbar. There is a tab on the end of the bottom crossbar that fits into the interior channel on your poles. They simply slide in like so, and now you move the green locking mechanism over to lock into place. And now that we have the bottom portion of your frame set up, let's go ahead and install the top poles. Now the poles themselves connect together as such. Simply line up the notch of the top pole to the hole on the bottom pole and twist the fastener tight to secure into place. You can now install your top crossbar, and I've found it easiest to simply move your frame and tip it down slightly to access the top poles, and you can insert your top crossbar that way. So simply line up this notched tab at the end of your crossbar to the interior channel on the top portion of your top pole, and it slides into place. Repeat for the other side. One thing to note about the top portion of these TRIGA Go frames is that the top knob here, in which the crossbar attaches to, is a tension release knob. That is used to make sure the graphic is nice and taut. So before you install the graphic, you want to make sure it's in its recessed position as shown here. But then when your graphic is attached, you're going to want to press down and release that tension to make your graphic nice and taut. Once you have your top crossbar installed, you can go ahead and tip the frame up, and it's now time to attach the braces. So to attach these braces to your frame, make sure the green locks are parallel to the posable tabs here, and line up the posable tabs with the interior channel on your frame. Position it as such, and now you're going to twist the lock and snap into place. So here we have one 3-foot TRIGA Go wall frame. Now if you have a 6-foot, 10-foot, or 20-foot TRIGA Go wall, it is really easy to simply extend this frame out to reach those lengths. The channels that lie within the poles of the frame make it that much more easy to add top and bottom crossbars to extend the length of a TRIGA Go wall. Now for these larger TRIGA Go walls, to install the top crossbars, I recommend employing the use of a ladder. So as you can see, it is just that simple to extend the length of your TRIGA Go wall. You can add one more set of crossbars and an end pole and foot, and this can become a 10-foot wall. You can double that and create a 20-foot wall. And with the brilliant design of the channels on the end poles here on all 4 sides, you can even make corners, which comes into play when you set up your TRIGA U-booth. You can effectively set up your 6-foot wall to be a corner setup, or you can turn one corner on a 10-foot wall and make an L shape in your TRIGA Go configuration. So as you can see around me, we have the 10-foot TRIGA Go U-booth. The making of a corner in a TRIGA Go wall applies the exact same way when setting up your U-booths. One thing to note about the U-booth, however, is the differences in the feet on the ends of your setup. The corner foot has a smaller toe at the back, effectively having 2 bigger toe at the actual 90-degree turn to create more stability, and the foot parallel across from the corner foot has 3 small toes, effectively providing low visibility amongst your TRIGA Go U-booth display. So as you can see, I'm on a ladder. These are quite tall displays, so if you need to utilize a ladder in order to install your graphic, go right ahead. Now for the single-sided TRIGA graphic installation, as well as the U-booth TRIGAs, you're gonna know what your art looks like. You're gonna know where the center of your art should be as it pertains to the frame. Start installing your graphic in the center and work your way on the outside and around the back. You fold that edge into the channel like so, and as you go along, it gets easier and it can stop right before you make that turn. Go ahead and start doing the bottom now as well. And now it might be easiest, instead of moving the ladder around, you can just simply slide the display over. So then you can make that turn into the back channel. Once it's all installed and ready to go, you're gonna then return to the top crossbar and press down to do that tension release on the edge poles of your crossbar. So then it'll make your graphic nice and taut. For double-sided graphic installation on your TRIGA Go wall, you're gonna start installing the graphic on the backside channel. So as it pertains to this video, this right here will be the backside of this particular setup. So you just fold edge of the graphic at the very start of that backside channel, and you're gonna work your way from left to right and make that first wraparound to then the front. Make that first turn. Now you'll make your second turn back around to the back, and you just overlap the graphic installation onto the back side of your graphic. Now that your graphic is secured to the frame, go ahead and push down on the tension release top crossbar. This will then make the graphic nice and taut on the frame. If you do not have a ladder readily available, or you're not able to use a ladder, here's how you can attach your graphics to 3, 6, and 10-foot TRIGA walls. Simply tip the frame down and place the edge of the graphics in the channels of each crossbar. Graphic attachment for a 3-foot wall can be accomplished with one person. However, if 2 people are assembling, one person can hold the frame while the other installs the graphic. You can tip the frame back up to attach the graphic to the bottom, but be sure to press down on the top holes to release the tension mechanism. Same applies for the 6 and 10-foot frames. You may need to add another person to accomplish graphic installation. Now when you apply the graphic to your TRIGA Go U-booth, or let's say a corner setup of a TRIGA Go wall, you're obviously going to come across the corner portion of the frame. The plastic end on your graphic is very bendable, and you just sort of bend it into place and make sure you fit it in that channel and wrap it around to your backside. Quick note about the graphic in regards to a corner setup of a TRIGA Go wall. So not a U-booth, a TRIGA Go wall in which you are applying a corner to your setup configuration. The graphic needs to be double-sided in order to cover up the exposed back of the frame that will be on display in your booth. Installing the graphic around the back end of the corner is just like wrapping the graphic around an end pole of a straight TRIGA Go wall. You just simply make that turn, wrap it around, and fit the edge into the channel. And with that, you repeat this exact same process, but just on the bottom crossbar, and if you have a U-booth, on the second corner. Now, as you can see, the graphic of a U-booth provides coverage around the end frames that stick out from the back wall. Now, outside of attaching that graphic on the corner portion of your U-booth frame, or let's say a corner setup of a TRIGA Go wall, the rest of the graphic attaches as if you were applying a graphic to a straight TRIGA Go wall. And there you have it. Whether you have a single-sided 6-foot TRIGA wall, a double-sided 3-foot TRIGA wall, or any variation based on any size, a 10 or 20-foot U-booth, you're now ready to utilize the marketing power of your TRIGA Go modular display.